Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Will is your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Bruce Pollard said, first up, yes, Bruce, first one in the chat. Welcome aboard, everybody. We are on all of the channels, and we are going to have a great time today. We have a whole lot to cover. I just tried to cut a piece like 3 minutes before the show started that I couldn't get because one of the news programs caught Donald Trump in Minnesota, and what he said, hey, Minnesota, you guys have got to vote for me because, when I start to run for my third and fourth time, if you guys don't vote for me now, you won't vote for me then. So, it is amazing what's on the top of this guy's head, but yes, it is there. It is at the top of his head. And, it comes across like if it's a joke, it's a joke, it's a joke. No, I'm not really trying to do that. But anyhow, that is exactly what he's trying to do. And what he's done, he's already stacked the courts with a whole lot of folks. And who knows what's going to happen then. Anyhow, what's on the program today? Let's get busy real quickly because we have a whole lot to cover. Title of the show today, Bernie's message to progressives. New progressive organizing tool. Polls, Trump convert, and more. Folks, progressives, Bernie Sanders' message is one that all progressives should heed. We talked to the co-founder of Organiz, without an E. He was at Netroots Nation, and we got a chance to speak to him about a tool that he's using to help progressives organize across the country. Then we have Trump beating Biden in polls on the economy, crime, and personal health fortitude. Are you kidding? Anyhow, progressives need to message right and promote widely. That is what we need to do. If we are going to win this thing, folks, we got to get busy, and that is what we are going to do. We are going to get busy. While voting is important to all, the winning message that will hit every American in the gut was best said by Rahm Emanuel. That's point numero uno. Point numero dos. Not even this anti-immigrant Wisconsin woman who voted for Trump in 2016 is voting for him again. Indeed, it's Biden and never Republican again. Punto número tres. The latest NBC polls show Trump with a 10-point lead on the economy. It is a dereliction of duty that America does not know who drove the economy into the ground. We've got to make that very, very clear because that 10-point lead on the economy, and as much as Biden is beating him everywhere, and as much as Biden is at 50% in a lot of polls, that's a dangerous, dangerous number. Let's go back to Clinton and remember that famous phrase. It's the economy, stupid. It's the economy, stupid. Let me tell you something about pandemics that can occur. This stuff, Donald Trump always said, oh, this stuff is just going to disappear. He hopes it does. But guess what? He's actually kind of right. It can turn out that this infection is widespread and that it's just a few people that are very susceptible. There's a whole lot we don't know. Okay? I am running from it. A lot of us are running from it. But the truth of the matter is, don't depend on what you don't have control of to win. Depend on what you control to win. And our message is better, and we have to get it out there. That 10-point lead on that Trump has on Biden is horrendous. That is the thing that sticks to me right now. That is something that all of us in independent media, if the mainstream media is not going to do it, going to have to codify within all the things that we talk about. We have got to get that number reversed because that's a dangerous number sitting there. And as much as I said this is supposed to be a landslide, we've got to turn that number around. Bernie Sanders appeared on Meet the Press, and his message is the one every progressive who ultimately wants our policies to succeed should heed. Lastly, we have at the end of the show, or not at the end of it, his is the last interview. Kedar Reddy, founder of Organiz without an E, was a virtual visitor to Netroots Nation 2020. He discusses his new Twitter tool for progressive organizers. So that's the show for today. So let's go ahead, folks, and do what? We're going to get busy. Let's see if I want to make sure I start with the right one because the last time I kind of started at I think this is the right one. Let's go ahead. We know that post office debacle is just that, a real debacle. But I want to show you how we should handle it. And Rahm Emanuel, somebody that I'm not always fond of, but he hit the nail on the head. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
But I think the Democrats need to redirect their message. You haven't gotten your medicine through the mail? Donald Trump. That's the problem. You haven't gotten your Social Security check and you're going to miss your mortgage payment, or you're going to miss some benefit for your health care costs? Donald Trump's your problem. The Republicans are the problem. Voting is about us in the election. It is about the democracy.
It's about people's rights.
Yeah, no, exactly. But if you want to, right now, this is tied up on the entire package in Congress. You want to put pressure on getting the Republicans to negotiate, which they are refusing to do now until Labor Day? Change the message to something that's relevant to the American people today, not 3 months. And so I 100% agree with this. I mean, I never knew the post office was going to become a partisan issue, that Democrats are only for checks getting to people or voting ballots getting to people in rural or seniors. But Joe Biden is now up, the first Democrat in 20 years, among older people. So let's make this relevant to a very important constituency today. You're not getting your medicines on time on your diabetes, your heart? Donald Trump and the Republicans are stopping you from getting that. You're not getting your Social Security check? Donald Trump is getting that. You're not getting your updates on Medicare? Donald Trump and the Republicans are doing it. Then you'd make this relevant, and they would get to the negotiating table for the entire package.
Ron Emanuel hit the nail on the head. In as much as many times we are talking in high level languages when we're talking about these issues, how it affects our democracy, how it affects our freedom. The one thing they Republicans know how to do is how to bring it down to meat and potatoes issues. How does this affect you today? And even the way they talk about freedom, the Republicans do. It is about how does it affect your immediate life. What Ron Emanuel just did there is he showed this is what will be impactful to you tomorrow, not only on November 3rd, not only when you place your ballot in the mail, but this is how what Trump is doing is impactful to you. And it is his fault, and he should pay the price for doing that. I think that was a perfect change in messaging, and I hope the Democrats take that to heart and monopolize on what is really occurring. Okay, now the other thing, right, is so how does that work? If you take a listen to the sentiment, remember there are conservatives that can be convinced. There are conservatives you can talk to, and then there are sycophants. All right, right now for this election, we're not working on sycophants. Right, sycophants require deprogramming. Sycophants require a lot of work. We're working on the people that are gettable. And I want to show you what a person that is gettable looks like. But the fact of the matter is, in as much as this person said, "Oh, I'll never vote Republican again," I've had it. There's this stuff called peer pressure that they're still susceptible to. So when I wrote a piece for this stuff, I talked about keeping the space open, keeping the door open for these people to walk in, because if they know there's a place to go, they will leave. If they don't know that there's a place to go, they'll stay. So that is some of what I cover as well in It's Worth It, my new book, because we have to understand that if somebody has been doing some crazy things for a long time, voting for Donald Trump, voting against their own interests, voting against all these things, they may just stay doing that unless they know they have a place to land. And that is what we have to realize. This Trump voter here is sort of what I'm talking about. Many are concerned about the 2020 election. Is Donald Trump going to steal it? Is Donald Trump somehow going to convince all these people to vote for him? The answer is, of course it could happen. But it can only happen if we are scared of really engaging and doing our part to get a win. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
In 2016, Trump took Kenosha by a mere 238 votes. Swing counties like this propelled him to take Wisconsin by a razor-thin margin. But not all voters are standing by their previous decision.
The ballot wasn't even cold in the box, and I'd already regretted it.
Lori McCammon tells us in 2016 she was drawn to Trump's hardliner stance on immigration.
I feel that he is chipping away at our democracy, and he's doing it in plain sight.
You said that in hindsight, you wish you had just left your ballot blank 4 years ago. Is that your intention in November, or will you be voting for Joe Biden?
Oh, no, I'm voting for Joe Biden. I have voted on Republican for most of my adult life. I don't know if I will ever vote Republican again.
Think about that. She's not only not voting for Donald Trump, she's thinking about just not being a Republican at all. Then we have folks like the new Republicans or the old Republicans, like those who formed the Lincoln Project, and a lot of these other groups that's asking people to tell their Republican stories and why they're voting for Biden. There are a whole lot of those out there. Look, Donald Trump has a base. Donald Trump's base is probably probably under 40%. A part of that base is an economic base. It has nothing to do with the crazy nativist values of Donald Trump. The truth is, if we do our job, get our people out, irrespective of 1 or 2 or 3% that's going to occur with voter suppression, this should still be a landslide, but we can't be scared about it. We have to be like all my friends I see out there every day in and day out, canvassing day in and day out. They're out there registering people and making sure they know how to vote. That's what we're doing in Harris County, Texas, one of the largest representative counties in the country. And if everybody does their job, not fearful that, oh, is Donald Trump going to pull it? We are not victims. This democracy we own as well. So we won't let anybody, not even Donald Trump and his goons, take it away from us. Now, so that woman is representative, and let me tell you, I have met personally, many people like that. She just needed to know that she had a place to land. And they're starting to feel like they have a place to land. And that's why the polls are showing what the polls are showing. But if we go ahead, if too many go ahead and get on that high horse and say, oh, well, look how you used to be or whatever, we ain't got time for that right now. We have to bring everybody into the fold to go ahead and say, we want this landslide. We want to take this stuff over. Folks, if you're just joining us, I have a big favor to ask. Please go ahead and share the program. That is how we are going to get this message all throughout the country. We need this stuff shared. If we don't have all this stuff shared, you know what happens. We have the mainstream media. These guys are doing the best they can. I love a lot of these guys in the mainstream media. They're doing the best they can, but they have limitations as to what they can do. They really do have limitations. Okay, moving on to the next subject. I mean, we have the latest NBC News polls point to an economy. Well, let me just go ahead and play this, and then we'll take it on the other side. Folks, the new NBC poll has me a little bit upset. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Our latest NBC News Wall Street Journal poll shows good news for Democrats overall, but there are a few shining lights for President Trump. Mr. Trump does hold an edge among registered voters on one big one, and the biggest is the economy. But he also leads on issues like crime and having the necessary mental and physical health for the presidency. Biden has his own winning formula of issues. Voters in our poll believe he'd be better at bringing the country together, that he'd be better at handling race relations, and perhaps the biggest, dealing with the coronavirus. He has a 16-point edge over President Trump on that issue, larger than the president's lead over Biden on the economy. Which issues are actually the most important to voters this year? Here's what they told us. A majority told us the economy is the #1 issue on their minds as they make their choice. So remember, that's an issue President Trump leads on by 10 points. But on all the other top issues, bringing the country together, strong leadership qualities, health care, and yes, the coronavirus, it is Biden who is leading Trump among those voters.
Now, for everybody who follow me, you know what I've always said. 3 months is a long time, but there's one other issue. We can fudge the numbers for the economy so that it looks good near election time, and we can fudge the numbers. Remember, the CDC was taking out a commission. Now Donald Trump has a different organization that is giving out the numbers. So that private organization that's now giving out the numbers could actually make it seem like coronavirus is doing better than it is. And suddenly people start to believe that Biden is not the better one for it. It's Donald Trump that's repairing things. Let me tell you, first of all, it is imperative that we learn a little bit something from the Lincoln Project. You notice where are the 3 things that Donald Trump is doing fine on. Supposedly Donald Trump is doing much better on crime, his health, and the economy. Those are 3 things that we should be able to show how wrong they are. Number one, we have all this video showing that Donald Trump is a slurred speaker, that Donald Trump actually has problems walking downstairs, all that kind of stuff we have to highlight, like the Lincoln Project has pretty much taught us to do. We also need to make sure to realize that when he's strong on crime, the president that's against crime, we have to make him the criminal. We have to show the criminal that he really is. And I don't see enough ads pointing out that Donald Trump is a criminal, and had he not been president, he would currently be indicted. And número tres, as far as the economy, which is a number one, let's remember this. The economy didn't falter because of the coronavirus initially. The economy was on its way out. There's something called the repo market that proves the economy was about to fall. The coronavirus gives a good excuse for why Donald Trump's economy has fallen. It's not his fault. It is the fault of the coronavirus. It is not. Look up repo market. It shows that the economy has been in trouble for some time now. But even going further, we still have those systemic problems within the economy that the Republicans have nothing to say about, that they intend to do nothing about. What progressives are bringing are things that will make a more egalitarian economy, and we have to be able to present that to people so that they understand that he's 10 points ahead on the economy makes absolutely no sense. It's a dereliction of our duty that has allowed that to happen. That is something that we must start repairing immediately. Immediately. We cannot possibly have one of the most irresponsible people who have handled this economy, who had driven an economy that was going up at a steady pace into the ground. We cannot allow somehow this guy doesn't know much about anything. This guy has run every company he has ever owned, folks. Please do your research. Every company that he has ever owned has been run into the ground. He is great at creating facades. He's a TV star and that. And yes, he can fool a whole lot of people. Don't let it be you. Make sure that you tell the real story as far as what's going on with this person and why it is that we should make sure that he never sees office again, and that when he walks out of that Oval Office, he actually will be walking into jail. Because we know New York has the numbers on him right now. They have all the tax fraud. They have all the real estate fraud. They have all of that ready and waiting for him. And that's why he needs to become a fascist. Because he needs to hope that America will give him forever, ever, ever power. Anyhow, let's go ahead and finish with the last video here. And this last video is with Brother Sanders. The guy that I was a delegate for a few years ago when he was in 2016. One of the best times in my representative political time. I really just loved it. Bernie Sanders, delegate, heading off to Philadelphia, coalescing with people from all over the country, all over the world. It was a great time, and to have lost that election because of, to put it bluntly, the stupidity of the Hillary Clinton campaign, who refused to listen to those of us who were writing and talking about, hey, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. In other words, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, Detroit. You got to hit those places up. You cannot take these voters for granted. You got to hit them up. Well, didn't listen. And in as much as Hillary was the better candidate, in as much as Hillary won more votes than anybody else by 3 million votes, because of a flaw in the Constitution. Well, the Constitution have so many flaws it ain't funny. But because of this particular flaw that has given the victory several times to the undeserving, here we are again. And each time we've given the victory to the undeserving, they've tanked the economy. Bush tanked the economy. Trump tanked the economy. Bush try to help mitigate the problem, but between he and Reagan at the end of their career, tanked the economy because of their policies. Makes no sense. Clinton gave gave Bush number one a balanced budget, zero deficit. I mean, if look it up. I posted it several times at my site as well. But anyhow, let's go ahead and listen to Brother Bernie. I was recently listening to Bernie Sanders, and he was kind of worried about whether progressives are doing fine under Joe Biden. And he had an interesting thing to say. What I want to do is play it for you, and then we'll take it on the other side.
How do you feel overall about the party platform, and do you feel like you've got enough of your views represented in it?
Well, Chuck, as you may be aware, I am not the candidate. So my views are not the dominant views. But what I will credit strongly the Biden campaign for is that Joe and I talked about this, and he and I agreed that we should have task forces dealing with some of the major issues facing this country, including the economy and healthcare, climate change, immigration, education, etc. And the people on those task forces work very, very hard. And I'm not here to tell you, as a strong advocate for Medicare for all, that we got everything we wanted. We surely did not. But I think if people look at the outcome of those task forces, they'll find the reality that if those task force proposals are implemented, you know what? Joe Biden will become the most progressive president since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And that, at this moment, is what we need. Is that I think what almost all progressives understand, that in this moment, we have got to do everything we can to come together to defeat Donald Trump, who in my view is the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country, and elect Joe Biden. But as I have said many, many times, the day after Biden is elected, we're going to be working with the grassroots in this country, with working people, with people of color, with young people, to stand up and fight for an agenda that works for working families, not just the 1%. And that most certainly includes Medicare for all. So we're going to rally the American people around an agenda, and I look forward to doing that the day after Biden is elected.
To put it bluntly, there is no way, if Republicans stay in power, will progressives be able to negotiate, would be able to roll, however you want to call it, to get our plans through. The truth is, if you get Biden in there and we get all those progressives that are going to be moving in as we get that landslide that I'm expecting if we do our work, if we do our jobs, then there are two things that are in our favor. First of all, the coronavirus and the results of the coronavirus is going to show you one thing. Medicare for all is going to be the ultimate solution. Everything is going to eventually coalesce into Medicare for all based on what we're going to see in healthcare. And all our other policies will come to fruition, not because Biden and Harris wants them, but because the grassroots does. And that is what we have to work on. So let's play this smart. He is absolutely right, Bernie Sanders. Check it out and let's play this smart. No, Ledo, I'm saying if we do everything that we are supposed to do, I think you've heard it on several shows before, if we are fearless, if we go out there and talk to people, if we don't play the games that, the fear games that many Republicans attempt for us to play, we should win in a landslide, but we have to do the job. A landslide isn't a foregone conclusion. A win isn't a foregone conclusion. We have to go take it. And what I try to tell all our people is this stuff is not going to be given to us. We're going to have to fight downright dirty to take what really is ours. And I think Democrats are starting to realize that, especially since we have some very, very mean Republicans on board that's actually sort of teaching us how to be necessarily mean. So that's what I'm talking about, sir. How to be necessarily mean, because that is the game the other side generally plays. Anyhow, so folks, if you're just joining us again, please go ahead and share this program. We need to share this program so people are aware. If you're on Facebook and you want to support this program, click on that little $ sign and give us a super chat. Likewise, if you want to support the show, You can go ahead and, first of all, the book that you see on screen, It's Worth It is my new book. It's about how it's called It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. Please go and try this book out. I'm telling you, I've done this for years. And, while there are sycophants that it simply won't work with, most people are good thinking, good people that are mis or ill informed. And when you go with your heart in the right place, when you go with your respect in the right place, when you go with the right kind of humbleness, you make strides. And I talk about that in this book. So here's a link to the book to go ahead and get it out there on Amazon, if you will. You can go ahead and check that out. On Amazon, it's how you talk to people and how you get to them. Now, you can support us by becoming a subscriber to Politics Done Right. How do you become a subscriber to Politics Done Right? Here it is in the screen. There you go. You go to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Again, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Alternatively, you can support us on PayPal. Our PayPal is politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. Our Facebook has started accepting memberships. We don't have a whole lot yet. People seem to not be completely into Facebook quite yet, but it's politicsdoneright.com/Facebook, politicsdoneright.com/Facebook. And of course, you can shop at our store where you can get all our stuff, including our books. But you also get a chance to see our little what again? Our cup, politicsdoneright.com cup. And we also have all kinds of other cups. One that has things like I support independent media. We have some with the squad on, T-shirts, the whole works. Check it out. That's politicsdoneright.com/store. Okay, we need to get busy and go to our interview of I'm getting old, Kedar Reddy. Kedar Reddy was at Netroots Nation virtual, and he let's go ahead and let him tell you a little bit about who he is, and then we'll take it on the other side. Welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. Today we have somebody special, Kedar Reddy. Kedar, how are you doing today?
Hey, good, Egberto.
Well, look, Kedar is out here at Netroots. Netroots decided to go all virtual this year because, again, we do this every year, and this is the first time that it's all done online. The pandemic is real. But anyhow, Kedar, what he is doing kind of helped the situation well. Kedar, before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Egberto, I'm an activist. I'm an anti-caste activist based in the San Francisco Bay Area. Let's see. So I have a background in game design and technology. So, it's been always my passion to merge my technical skills and my design skills with activism.
Now, you decided to put a platform together. And tell us a little bit about what got you or what drove you to build this platform.
Yeah, so, for the last around 4 or 5 years, I've been organizing online specifically, and one of the forms of organizing that I have repeatedly engaged and coordinated is are something called Twitter storms, right? And so these are actions that happen on Twitter where activists come together for short periods and really engage on a particular issue with the idea of having that.
Give me one good example of a Twitter storm that was successful that you think your platform will improve or would improve on.
For example, in the South Asian context, right? Let's take Stand With Kashmir, for example, right? Stand With Kashmir is this huge movement now that is advocating for the rights of Kashmiris, for the ending of military occupation of Kashmir by India, right? I think that's a movement that could really, that's already really successful on Twitter and social media in general, but I think that would definitely ease their organizing if they were to use Organiz.
Okay. Now tell us a little bit about how you were able to do so. First of all, how were you able to get funding for something like this?
Yeah, so as I said, I've been organizing these Twitter storms manually for the last few years, and it was out of that need that as a techie, I was like, we got to automate some parts of it. I mean, obviously you can't automate every aspect of it, but definitely the aspects of recruiting folks, sending reminders to folks that there's an action happening and they got to come. For example, scheduling tweets ahead of time. These are things I saw as opportunities for technology to improve. So I pitched this idea to Vocal, and
when you say Vocal, who is Vocal?
Vocal is a progressive funder that's based out of Denver, Colorado. But they're specifically interested, at least in their fellowship program, to fund idea stage progressive kind of big ideas, entrepreneurs and projects. And I've pitched them last year, and I was lucky enough to get the fellowship. And it was actually very transformational for us, because that made all the difference. It gave us the mental space, the physical space, the resources to be able to get off the ground and actually have a product in quick time.
Now, how long did it take you to develop the product?
I would say the actual development took us about a month and a half to get to the MVP stage. And
Explain to people, because you're a techie. Everybody doesn't understand those phrases. What is MVP?
MVP is a minimum viable product. It's basically what is the what's the smallest product, or what's the essence of the product that needs to be built so that it's found valuable by customers or your target audience. And so for us, that meant that we basically built a platform where organizers can schedule tweets ahead of time with their entire community, and that was our MVP. And I think the way that we differentiate from existing social media management tools is that, like, for example, if you look at Hootsuite, they're all about, you can schedule tweets with 1 or 2 or like maximum like 5 of your team members. And, as you keep adding members to your team on Hootsuite, for example, the price keeps increasing, So, but here's a real chance for your entire community or entire base to schedule tweets around a particular topic ahead of time.
So are you saying that price base you probably are charging per action or something like that, or?
Yeah, we're not actually charging right now. It's a completely free tool to use. But once we do have a pricing model, it's probably going to be around per campaign.
Now tell us a little bit about the product proper.
Yeah. So I mentioned like one of the advantages of it is that you can schedule tweets ahead of time as a community. But another aspect of it that's different is that unlike, for example, our tool might sound very familiar to Thunderbolt, which was a tool that was around a couple of years ago, but that was banned by Facebook and Twitter, specifically because it was creating a lot of, for those of you that don't know, Thunderbolt basically was like a Kickstarter for social media posts, So basically, let's say I decide to create a post and I have a goal of 200 retweets on that post. So if I get 200 people to pledge to retweet my post, then all of them kind of go out at once. But if I don't meet my goal, the tweet doesn't go out. So that was the idea behind it, and the problem there was that it was creating a lot of spam, because it was kind of these the singular message that was getting posted multiple times, and it was very bot-like, and it just didn't serve.
Well, it was a bot.
yeah, exactly. So so basically I think. So our tool really, I see it as an evolution from that, in that we encourage organizers to come up with prompts that their base can respond to, in a meaningful way. And also learn, because oftentimes you have organizers who are experts in their particular fields or about their campaigns. Their base might not be, right? So the first step is when a supporter or an activist comes to the platform is that they learn about the issue, and then they can schedule a tweet or voice their opinion on the topic.
So let me see if I understand it then. The thing behind you is your platform,
Yeah.
organize.org, will have a whole lot, when you get in there, you'd have a whole lot of different issues. And if it's an issue that turns you on or something that an activist sent you to that issue, you
Yeah.
decide, oh, I like this. I am going to tweet about it under this platform. And you keep stats of all of them. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it, right? So, so there's a bunch of campaigns on our platform right now. If any of them resonate with you, you can go in and schedule a tweet in support of that campaign, right? And what happens is often all of these campaigns are set to go live over the course of a couple of hours at some point in the future, right? And so when you schedule a tweet, it just exists on the Organiz platform. And when it, and let's say it's supposed to go live on Monday morning at 10 a.m. At 10 a.m., all these tweets for that particular campaign start to roll out onto Twitter over the course of maybe like a 2-hour period.
So I think what you're saying then is the way this organizing tool works then is they're truly individual people. So it is individual mindsets that are going in there to put the tweet that they want. And what you're doing is organizing that tweet set to have a particular effect by going out all in a short period of time so that it'll be more effective. Is that correct?
Exactly, yeah. So it's basically taking advantage of Twitter's algorithms that favor recent content and highly engaged with content.
Right.
Because Twitter algorithm basically takes that and puts that in front of more people, right? So that's what was being done manually all along. And now we've come out with a tool that makes it many parts of that automated.
Yeah, because at first you had to get people say, hey, are we having a tweet storm at 10 p.m.? And then everybody gets an email at 10 p.m. and they have to go do it. They may want to do it, but they may have to go take care of a kid, or they may be eating or something like that. So you automate that in such a manner that it's not bot-like. It is a real intent of the person that wasn't really there to do it at the time.
Exactly.
I think that is I think placing that as a concept is important because, again, especially now that we're talking about wanting to eliminate bots, and not eliminate bots, but sort of temper how bots work, because it doesn't tell what the true feeling of the population is. I think your tool is actually saying what the true sense of the population that supports that topic is, but just goes ahead and manage how, when these things are going on. I think that is a great great thing to put together. And I imagine you keep stats for the people as well, that as how far their campaigns are going.
Yeah, so we have analytics about, for example, like we aggregate all the numbers from Twitter, for example, the total reach of the campaign, the total engagements, and that kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you run into any API issues? I mean, Twitter has some limitations as far as how many times you can call APIs and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah. So they do have like an enterprise API that's really expensive and honestly out of reach for us right now as a super early startup. But I think what can be construed from their their more freer APIs is that you can get to the potential reach. You might not be able to get to the actual reach, but you can get to an approximation of like this is the maximum potential for the campaign, and your actual reach is probably a percentage of that total.
Well, excellent. I think that's an excellent tool. Tell folks exactly how they can get to it, and tell us a little bit about pricing. Now it's free. In the future, tell us a little. Give us your spiel about, folks. This is why you need to get here. Folks, come on our platform and let us know.
Yeah, I think so. Organiz without an E at the end. Organiz.org is how you can get started. Learn more about the platform, but basically it's for politicians who want to engage with their base, candidates who want to engage with potential constituents. You could have town halls, Twitter town halls, or organizers who can do Twitter chats or organize Twitter storms to put pressure on, again, political leaders. And you can get started by, again, going to organiz.org and clicking on Get Started, and there's a button that says Free Upgrade, and you can upgrade to become an organizer and get started on the platform that way. It's completely free for now. We are probably going to start charging later on in the fall once we are more mature as a platform.
Now, Kedar, is this the first Netroots Nation that you've been to, or do you go to them every year as well?
I've been to a couple so far. I think this is my third or fourth.
Third or fourth?
Yeah, yeah.
Great, excellent. Well, look, Kedar, ready? What are you? Are you the president of Organiz.org?
I'm the co-founder, yeah.
You're the co-founder of Organiz.org, and that is Organiz, folks, without the E. Thank you so kindly for having been a part of Politics Done Right. I think the work that you guys are doing is exceptional. Please keep up your great work.
Thank you so much.
Well, that was Kedar. Ready? Let me, before I go ahead and go to the boards, because I see Ledo is at it once again. Ledo. I guess respect for the fellow man isn't necessarily your forte, but hey, what can I say? You know, life has a tendency of kind of evening those out. Anyhow, folks, we were talking about earlier how depending on the government you have, what kind of outcomes you have. Check this out. Alex Cole, I think he does some news, started blogging and that sort of stuff. He came out with a stat, right? So he sent out a tweet that said, Reagan took the deficit from $70 billion to $175 billion. Bush 41 took it to $300 billion. So again, Reagan added $115 billion. Bush added 300. Then went another $125 billion to that amount. Okay, so check this out. Clinton took the deficit to what? Zero. So here we have two Republicans blow the budget. Clinton comes in, bring it down to zero. Here comes Bush. Tax cut again. Economy shows nothing, right? Because the Laffer curve that you guys, we'll talk about the Laffer curve some other time, but the Laffer curve is what Republicans like to use to say, oh, if we cut taxes, the economy will get better. It has never worked ever. Now, Bush 43 comes in. So again, Reagan, Bush, explode the budget, the deficit. Here comes Clinton. He gets it down to zero. Then comes Bush 43. He pumps it up from zero to $1.2 trillion. Obama comes in. He cuts it to $600 billion. In other words, he cut it in half. Trump get it back. It's back up to $1 trillion. So the guy did a joke. He put morons, Democrats cause deficits. Right. No. Democrats are usually have to come in and clean up the mess from people who know nothing about economics, who know nothing about spending, who knows nothing about other than ripping Americans off. And they rip off Republicans and Democrats alike. Whenever I hold my ire, not for the average Republican person, I hold my ire not for the average, conservative. I hold my ire for the leaders who have turned many with very well organized messaging, who have made many of their followers brain dead because they have very, very good messaging. And it's something that we can learn. Progressives can learn that. There's nothing, look, my friend, there's nothing lying about what I just said. If you'd like to, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll put I tell you what I'll do better than that. Here, if you think I'm lying, here is the truth. There is a truth. Look it up. It's been tested. It's been verified. It went to PolitiFact and all the others that those numbers that I just called out are absolutely true. Okay? They're absolutely true. So check it in. Oh, sure, you can call in if you want to. You can call in at any time you want. This is your show. I hope you're I hope you're a subscriber as well, but call in if you want to. But anyhow, folks, let me go ahead and start handling the calls. Bruce Pollard. Bruce says, first up. Yes, Bruce, you're first up. Bruce also said, today I read that there are major heart complications for COVID, including a Red Sox pitcher. So herd immunity is not a solution. Trump's team should be saying this. And that's the deal. You know, Bruce, that's the magic. And that is why these people are so irresponsible. They want people to, oh, just go out there and get sick because you'll get over it. No, you won't. I have relatives. You know what it did to my relative who got it? Kidney, lungs, brain clot. They're trying to dissolve the clot in his brain right now. Okay? So anybody who tells you those things are lying to you. The president that lies so much to you doesn't tell you that he's putting Americans at risk. This is what Democrats need to be out there talking about. It's not about just a lung problem. It's not about just getting over it. It's not about just being some sort of pneumonia. This is systemic. Systemic meaning it affects the lungs, the liver, the kidneys. It affects the brain. It affects the blood flow. Everywhere that it clots the blood, which means every organ, every extremity is at risk. You remember that great actor out in New York? He died, but they had to cut his limbs off piece by piece because, again, what it does to the blood. This is a disease we don't understand. Yes, there are some people that seem to go through it quite fine, but guess what else they found? That those people who are asymptomatic, they checked their lungs and they found lung damage in asymptomatic people. So don't let the country fool you. Don't let President Trump lie to you, because remember, we already know he's a killer. He's killed 160,000 Americans with his neglect. We know that. God knows how many people he's caused their death because he didn't pay his bills before he became president. He made people do a lot of work for him and then got out of the bills. But you know, all these these evangelicals that support him, oh, thievery is okay if it's Donald Trump. Oh, mujeriego, having a whole lot of women is okay if you're Donald Trump. Oh, ripping people off is okay if you're Donald Trump. Evangelicals still love you. It just did what many of us have attempted to do for a long time. Prove that evangelical Christian leaders, notice I always restrict it to the leaders. They're evil. They're evil. They lead a lot of people astray. Okay, continuing. Daniel Ledo said, just don't forget how often Egberta says landslide. Yes, please do remember, even in 2021, I am saying we should win in a landslide if we do our jobs and if we fight Donald Trump to prevent him from ripping off the election, we'll do it. Bridge MCP statistics are not accurate. Just saw former DHS, former chief of staff is calling out Trump for everything he has done and why. Thank you, Bridge. Thank you. Maywood. Hey, Maywood, thank you for that thing you sent me last night with Stephanie Kelton. I'm looking around to see if we can get her to talk about MMT on our program here. Don't know if I'm going to get a response from her this time around, but you guys know I've had Mr. Wolf, Richard Wolf, as well as several other economists on board. Okay, Maywood is having a conversation with Ledo. Ledo is being very rude with women as usual. I don't know, when I remember coming from Panama, one thing we learned is respect, and one other thing we learned is that women had gone through so much in a patriarchal society. Women have gone through so much. We have learned that we have to atone. But I guess in America, some men just don't realize that. And what we have to do is make sure that those men who don't realize that remain powerless. It's that simple. Make them powerless. And the good thing about it is we have a lot of strong women coming out from AOC to even Harris, even though she's not I'm not her biggest fan, but I like her. She's powerful women coming out. Plus all the women here at Politics Done Right. Powerful women. When we talk about Maywood, when we talk about who else is here? Let me go ahead and salute everybody. I haven't done that yet. Bruce Pollard, welcome aboard. Normal Reynolds, welcome aboard. Strong women like Maywood. Lawrence Sims, welcome aboard. Bridge, strong women like Bridge. Let's see who else is here. Daniel Ledo is here. Yes, he is here. ¿Quién más está aquí? Para ver. Let's see. Rose Williams, another strong woman. So you see, we are loaded with strong women here. Mike Cisak, welcome aboard. Who else is here? Oh, it looks like I'm going to have to talk to Mike Cisak. Rose, okay. How do you know they identify? I think, you know something, Ledo? I know all my people that are in my chat. Thank you very much. I do. Janice Character, how you doing, my friend? Welcome aboard. Let's see who's another strong woman. All right, let's see what I have to talk to about, Johnny. We already have Democrats spreading fear about the virus by telling falsehoods, such as medicines that work on people who have it. Oh, Lord. CSAC, you know, there are certain people that have to feel the pain before they actually get it. I have a feeling you're one of those. You have to feel the pain. You have to go through all of that before. Daniel Ledo says, okay, clutch my pearls. Like, better to think women are weaker and cannot handle criticism. No, I don't. Not because somebody is strong means that you go ahead and you disrespect them. All I'm saying is, if you take a look at the tonality you take with women, rarely, I bet you don't take it with most of the guys that's around. And those are parts of patriarchy that, you know, that people have. It's that simple. Breach, interesting. I find it interesting that both you politics done right with Egberto Willis and Kiara are both involved in technology and software. Me being a retired, that's funny, Breach. Yeah, you know, I'm a software developer, engineer, all that good stuff I did for several years, and I decided to call it quits and do political activism. My daughter is in med school, and I wanted to be a part of however small part of all of those who are trying to make a better America, because we know we can do it. So I decided to do it. And you know what? In as much as it's a lot, you know what? It's a lot harder work. It's harder, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. A lot harder, but a lot more rewarding. You know, because I get to speak to people like Daniel Ledo and Mike Cisak, who are going to someday turn into progressives when they realize that they've been had. Because all of us in here that are progressives, all of us know they have been had. We know that. That it takes them that long to realize it, it's hard to fathom why, right? That's okay. We're patient. And that's what I talk about in my book as well. It's worth it. It's worth it because every human being is worth it. I believe that. Every human being is worth it. So go ahead, folks, if you have the wherewithal, please go ahead and get the book. It's called It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors with respect, with humility, with passion, and listen. Listen. Because a lot of time, like the way viruses work, viruses find that entry point. And that's all you have to do. Find your entry point. Find your entry point. Folks, let me tell you, Daniel Ledo said, the guy advocating being mean is talking about being civil. It's Egberto Willis bipolar. Oh, God. He's funny. Let's see what else I have to answer here before we go. We're coming up close to the end of the show, so I need to figure out. Let's see. One document also suggests that these changes were in works long before Louis DeJoy, a top Trump donor. Oh, come on. Trump was trying to steal the election. Don't change it. Bruce Pollard says, when it comes to deciding which candidates deserve your vote, I would suggest voting for the person and party that promotes policies best suited to help you as an individual and America as a society fulfills Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Ask yourself these questions when evaluating the various candidates vying for your money and your vote. Numero uno. Who among them best supports policies that help Americans meet the human need for good food, clean water, decent and affordable housing, environmental sanity, clothing, safety, security, employment, and health care? 2. Who among them rises beyond party, tribe, and partisanship to celebrate love, friendship, and sense of belonging to a country as a whole? And number 3, who among them speaks in a way that honors the self-worth of all Americans? Number 4, who among them celebrates human diversity and works toward an America that encourages, supports, and incentivizes Americans to reach their potential regardless of race, color, national origin, sex, gender, orientation, religion, and lack thereof, etc. Super perfecto, Bruce. I love that. That was a perfect statement. And you're absolutely right, sir. And when you find, what you find is there's only a couple of Republicans I know running right now that fulfill that bill. And there's a large percentage. And notice I didn't say all Democrats, but there's a large percentage of Democrats and progressives that follow that tenet in codified. All right. Mike Cisak says, why do leftists target young people? Young people don't have the knowledge or wisdom to know the siren song of socialism is a false one. They have to live through the tough times socialism brings to teach to vote. All right, I don't have a lot of time to answer this, but I'm going to just tell you something, okay? Anybody, Bruce gets the word of the day. I forgot to say that. Bruce gets the word of the day, and that belongs to Bruce. And Bruce doesn't get the word of the day. Bruce gets the paragraphs of the day because we read the whole darn thing, because it was worth reading the whole darn thing. Okay, but let me just tell you something, guys. Let's posit this, and I'm going to end it. I got to end the show here. But those who just always are so negative about what democratic socialism look like, I love how you think, because you don't. Capitalism says that I make a deal with you for your services or your intellect, and I can make an infinite amount of money on that, and I don't necessarily have to pay taxes on that to give back, and you stay there, whatever. In other words, I am going to be the arbiter of your excess labor. I will control your worth. It is nothing more than antiseptic slavery. I talk about that in my book as well. It's worth it. And you know, I'm plugging my book today. It's worth it. Please go ahead and get the book. It's really worth the read. It's really worth the read. That is what capitalism is. But you don't hear that because we are indoctrinated here. We cannot hear the truth about what it is, right? Because, oh my God, if you learn the truth about it, God forbid. But anybody working for corporations right now, you take a look at what the people that do the least do. The executives and all these guys, the executive couldn't drill a hole if you gave him a drill. They could not. Well, welcome aboard, Joe Daniels. They could not dig a hole. But they're the ones who benefit from your labor, your intellect. I was an engineer for companies for a very long time. I left after 5 years because I said, why am I going to give my intellect to these guys when I can create the product, market the product, sell the product, all of this on my own without the need for them? Understand it, folks. You are being hoodwinked and indoctrinated. Go to my site, please, egbertowillies.com, and read the Powell Manifesto or the Powell Memo. It was an orchestrated hit on you. Americans were getting smart. They were realizing that they were being hoodwinked. They were realizing that their knowledge was taken advantage of. And this guy said, oh my God, we've got to learn how to put these people back in chains. We no longer do it like this with the chains on. We no longer do it by skin color. We no longer do it anyway like that. We're all slaves now because we've enslaved the mind. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out! I'm Egberto Willies, host of Politics Done Right, an independent news program. I post several news videos of interest every day. I ask you so kindly to subscribe to my channel. And please leave me some comments. Thank you very much.